best there is at what I do. And what I do best isn't very nice.
Welcome back, everybody, to another issue of Hops Geek News. I can't remember the issue number that we're on, but I will look it up for next week, I promise. We are a podcast that talks about comic books, TV shows, movies. You can find us by searching Hops News on all of your streaming platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, you name it. Find us on Hops Geek News on Instagram, Geek Hops on Twitter, and we'd love your feedback. Like, subscribe, share, help the podcast grow if you like what
Love
we're doing here.
us. We need it.
Leave a rating. Please love us. My mom never loved me. I want to prove to her I'm not a loser. I just need you to please validate my ego. With that said,
and we should note, I know some people are having problems finding us. If you search the Hops News, and you'll find multiple ones because we're under an umbrella. So just look for the Geeks ones.
It's raining outside.
And then there's oh Jesus.
Yes, search Hops News, and then we are under the Hops News umbrella. So we just look for anything that says Geeks on it. There's a Geeks playlist, anything. We are working on a logo. That's going to be an alternate logo that might help as well, because I know that some people have some issues. I get it. I understand. We are with Feelin' Lucky, who's another podcast. And then our main flagship show is Hops News, where we really like to talk with breweries, we like to talk beer news, and also raise money for a good cause every single week where we go live.
But honestly, if you're listening, you found us. So I don't know.
That's true.
Why we
You
even
probably
say
saw
this
my
at the beginning.
annoyingness on Twitter. But that said, today we have a really special episode. We are going to talk news, of course. We're going to talk about things that we fucked up because nobody is perfect in this world.
That I fucked up.
Even Jesus made mistakes. Look at my birth.
Turned water into wine, not beer.
And we're going to talk Wolverine.
Eric Lynch, tell Xavier, go fuck yourself.
So without
He's
further
the best
ado,
at what he does.
I am joined by the Hoppy Mommy and a special guest tonight, Micah from Tavern Geek. And he also has his own NBA podcast. And we'll start with Hoppy. How you doing? What are you drinking?
I'm doing good. I am drinking a collab between Edmund's Oast and J. Wakefield Brewing in Miami. And I picked this one because it's got a dragon on it. For those of you watching on the YouTube, I'm showing you the can now. If you're not watching on the YouTube, well, you can't see it. It's a dragon.
Good,
and
I'm ugly.
I know. And I didn't say I know to you being ugly. I said I know. Like I don't know why I said I know.
Okay, it's okay. I'm ugly.
So it's a New England style IPA brewed with lactose and dragon fruit with passion fruit added. I don't really get I didn't realize this was a lactose. I don't really get that. It's not thick at all. I don't really get that sweet lactose. It's almost more like a sour IPA. So it's kind of interesting that it's labeled like that. But as far as it being a collab with Jay Wakefield, I felt like that was relevant. The dragon's relevant because Wolverine has very deep roots in Japanese culture, and we'll get into that a little bit. And if you've ever been to J. Wakefield Brewing or haven't been, that brewery is amazing. I know I shared them in our stories recently. The artwork on their walls is as amazing as the beer in their cans.
They've
done
a Black
collabs
Panther one, don't they?
They did, and they actually painted over a Thanos one to do that Black Panther one. The dumpster in front of their brewery has Grogu on it. And they have the whole place
you haven't
is painted
sent me
in
this yet?
I can send it to you. Well,
I'm a little offended. Normally you would send me a picture or something like this.
Well, I haven't been there in a year, so I didn't know you a year ago. So yeah, we were going to go there this Christmas, but with COVID, and it's kind of a smaller brewery and everything, so we ended up not going. But the whole place is like there's stormtroopers on the wall, and they got Logan on the wall, and they got Batman, and I mean it's absolutely amazing. And they have a whole scene where it looks like you're at the cantina and like Vader and everybody's drinking. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the whole, and they even have a table that it's Han Solo and the carbonite. And it's like, I didn't even realize my dad and I are standing at a table drinking, and I look down, I'm like, oh my God, it's Han Solo.
Bring me Solo.
And when you walk in, it says no droids allowed. So it's an awesome brewery.
Pesky,
so that's why I picked this beer, a double, the Japanese thing and J. Wakefield being awesome and having Wolverine painted on their wall.
We're bringing it in. Micah, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing?
Hey, man. I am drinking Adroit Theory. I seem to drink Adroit Theory on all of these things. But Culture of Complaint. This is Ghost number 680. No, my bad. 884. That's actually my birthday.
We're close.
884. Holy shit.
I'm
Um,
83.
But it's an imperial
Hey, I'm
stout,
90.
11%. Really?
Yes.
883?
No, she's
Cool.
83. Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying really to Matt being 90.
August.
Yes, I'm August
Oh.
83.
And I'm 1990. Yay. Guess what? 90s.
August 84.
Yeah, I'm the old bitch at the party. I'm a middle-aged white woman, which Matt
You
But
told
this
are
thing
me
is
months ago.
it's pretty yummy, and
Oh, did we lose him? It's yummy.
Nope. We just keep talking.
We need more. It's yummy. What else is it?
poured this beer.
Oh, that's a gorgeous mug. Oh, if you're not watching, he's got a nice
It's a
face
Wolverine.
of
I poured it in my
Wolverine on
coffee
his
mug.
mug.
I
I
like
love it.
I love it.
I'm actually drinking out of a Hulk mug. I have a Wolverine glass, but I don't love pint glasses, so I put it into a Hulk mug because the first time Wolvie ever showed up, he was fighting the Hulk.
I have a Mighty Squirrel glass.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Anyways, we'll get to that in a second. Micah, I am glad you're here because we've talked to you a couple months ago, and you're kind of like the unofficial official third member of our crew, and we always love chatting with you, and it's always a great time. I'm drinking Adroit Theory myself, and this is Ghost number 891, so we're close. And I like the can because it says "Consume life, drink art."
I love that.
I'm like an angsty teenager in that I am all about consume life, emo. And the can art, if you're watching on YouTube, wicked cool. It's got, basically death on it. If you're also watching on YouTube, I'm sitting right in front of Cerebro tonight because we are talking X-Men. But this one is a hazy triple IPA, double dry hopped with Mosaic, Citra, Brew One, and Chinook hops. And they even, what I love about Adroit Theory, who we talked to on Hops News a couple months ago, is they are very heavy metal centric. Mm-hmm. And on their cans, I noticed that they said pair with food. So they give you like smoked duck with potatoes. What cheeses are you pairing with? Roaring 40s Blue. And then they even give like a cigar foundation, the Wise Man. I'm not a cigar aficionado by any means, but I thought that was pretty cool. And
but Wolverine is. Well, I don't know about aficionado. He smokes
cigars. And what more do you need? So yes, tonight we're talking Wolverine. However, before we get to all that, we have some news, and we're gonna roll right into we're not experts.
Yes, we are not experts. So last week, this section, if you've listened to us before, this has become my section.
You'll know I'm pretty much perfect. No big deal,
because I own my mistakes. So I asked Woodland Empire if Idaho, last week on our show, I asked them if Idaho had a Brewers Guild. When I did this, I was drinking out of a glass from the Idaho Brewers Guild that Matt sent me, and I knew that the glass was from Idaho's Brewers Guild.
Yeah, it's Idaho Brewers United, and they are doing a destination beer this year where they're only making 100 boxes of 15 beers, and you can pre-order in 2 weeks. I think on the 17th, they're doing a pre-order, and you have to be in Idaho and pick up in Boise. I mean, I guess I could pick it up and ship it to you, maybe, but you got to pick it up in Boise. And every year, Idaho Brewers United, they do an event in this time of year. And it benefits the farmers, where if you know anything about Idaho, all the grains, all the barley, all the hops from Washington State, but this is the second leading hops, and then all the barley,
which is
and
crazy.
All the farmers, they really contribute to the beer fund for the whole country, and so and
Woodland mentioned that too. All their ingredients, for the most part, come from Idaho.
Oh yeah, they're big on the Idaho brewers are big on local ingredients. And so what the Idaho Brewers United does is every year, all like certain breweries take place, certain percentage goes to these farmers, and you get a glass. Last year I got that glass, which I got you one. This year, Destination Beer, because of COVID, we are doing Destination Beer. So a box, there's only 100 going to be made, 15 boxes, or 15 beers in this box, and they're like, share it with whoever. Me, I was like, what do you mean share? I ain't sharing shit. But every different day, or it's going to be 15 different beers from different breweries all around, which is really exciting, really cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
So yeah, you were drinking from that glass, but we'll give that.
I was.
We'll give that.
I thought about that later. I'm like, what a dumbass question. So I'm not the best at what I do, apparently. So I wanted to clarify too the Kraft mac and cheese thing we talked about. So we were talking about Prohibition and we mentioned mac and cheese, and I was like, hey, this sounds familiar. So PBR made cheese during Prohibition. That's what they sold. And then when they were allowed to sell beer again, they sold their cheese business to Kraft. And that's how Kraft mac and cheese happened. The more you know. So, okay,
Kraft
so we
mac
should
and
move on
cheese.
too. What have we read? Because we were talking about that god awful pink. I've never had it, but
Yes,
it sounds
so
god
Kraft
awful.
mac and cheese is making like a Valentine's.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Ooh,
Yeah, they're making like a Valentine's Day
that doesn't sound the
pink
best
mac and
either.
cheese that tastes like candy. I'm gonna buy it. I'll try anything twice.
That's your
However,
catchphrase, by the
that
way.
is
I'll
my
try anything
catchphrase
twice.
is win or lose, we still booze, and I'll try anything twice. It is what it is.
So,
Rolling
what
have we read or watched this week? It feels like a lifetime since we've last talked, but what have you read or watched? Hoppy,
So-
what have you read or watched?
Well, I watched the latest WandaVision. Holy shit. I won't say anything. I know we got into that on Hops News, and we probably won't get into that later today because I think we're going to have a lot to say later on. So, and every geek podcast in the world is really breaking that down really
actually,
well.
real quick, if you want to get a really good, there's two podcasts that I really recommend. If you go episodes 1 through 4, it's Hop Heroes, of course. They did a really good breakdown this week, and also For Nerds by Nerds. They really went and dove into the first 4 episodes as well. So go listen to their episodes on WandaVision. They did a really great job. And us and Hop Heroes are actually going to get together at the end of WandaVision, and we're gonna recap the entire season.
Yeah, so if you want to hear our thoughts at that point, obviously we'll release that. But we did just actually jump off our live Hops News, and we went into WandaVision a bit there because it's just so hard not to talk about.
It is.
So
really
we
hard.
won't go into that again right now. And of course, I'm still rewatching Supernatural because I have issues, and I read the last few issues of the Wolverine that is coming out now, but we will save that for the end of this when we're talking about Wolverine today. So that's about it. What have you guys? I guess we should go to Micah. What have you read or watched this week?
Of course, I've been watching WandaVision. It's really just about it.
Amazing.
I did kind of start rewatching The Last Airbender because I watch that constantly.
Show is so good.
My
dude.
daughter's
Just
into
something
that.
that-
She just had me order the comic book for her, actually.
It's a shame they never actually made a movie about it.
Didn't they?
Shut up.
Oh,
That's the
sorry.
joke.
I'm not big on anime. That's one of those things I will watch Lord of the Rings. I give you shit when I
Yes.
make comments. I am gonna watch Lord
That
of
is
the
the
Rings.
joke.
But I'm not an anime. These are the jokes, kid.
Come on.
All right, well, Matt, what have you read
So
or
that's
watched
really
this week?
all I watched.
What have I read or watched? Well, of course, WandaVision. My wife actually just got back from the comic store, so I'm going to Vegas this weekend, and so she
Vegas,
picked me
baby.
up. Ice Cream Man. I don't know if you can see it on YouTube. It's actually a series. It's a really good series. Apparently, it came out last year. It's by Image First is what it says, and it's a bunch of vignettes of people who it's Image Comics, and they meet.
Well, that's who does Oblivion and Walking Dead and everything.
Yeah, this is apparently a really hot comic book series. So it's by a bunch of people. They meet this Ice Cream Man, and then a series of unfortunate events kind of unfold from there. And I thought it was I saw it, but it has a bunch of kids on the cover, and so I was like, oh, if kids are dying in a comic book, I'm gonna kind of stay away from that because I'm not ready for that level of darkness in
Right.
my life. But that's
Yeah,
not-
I don't
looked-
do that either.
Well, I read into it, and that's not what it's about at all. It's actually like one issue might be a monster takes over a town and just things like that. So it's not that level of darkness, but it's like horror themed, which I love horror films, I love horror books, things of that nature. And then she grabbed me a couple of the Future State, which is the new hot thing from DC Comics. I have the Flash Future State, and then I've got Batman Future State, both first issues. And so I'm excited to dive into those. I haven't read them yet, of course. The last ones I read were actually Batman and Catwoman. Good series. But I've watched the show called Happy Endings, which it's from 2010. And it's got,
I've seen that. It's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. It's got
It's got one of the Wayans
Alicia-
brothers' kids.
Yes, it's got
Right?
Damon Wayans, and actually Damon Wayans Sr. makes an appearance in a couple
Yes.
episodes. And it's got Alicia
The girl from the
Cuthbert
girl next door.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's got a couple others. But it took me a little bit. My wife was super into it, and I was like, yeah, we'll throw it on, whatever. And it's actually a good show. I recommend it. It's on Hulu. All 3 seasons are on Hulu. So go check it out.
It's a shame it ended when it did. It should have kept going. It was good.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's easy to watch. You don't have to pay attention. If you've had a long day, just come home, throw it on Hulu. Good show. So I really recommend it. And then other than that, I watched Avengers Grimm. So
Oy.
another comic book podcast, or not comic book, but they're a movie podcast, excuse me. Game for a movie podcast. Really great people. They actually might be coming on an episode of ours here soon. They basically choose a movie for one of their members that they have to watch. And so they had to watch Avengers Grimm. And I saw that on Twitter and was like, oh, this looks like a movie I'll watch on my own right. And boy, it was awful. It's got Lou Ferrigno. It's got Rico from Starship Troopers. He's in it as Rumpelstiltskin. It's got a bunch of failed porn actresses, is what I imagine.
Oh, that's who they are.
I don't know if that's who they are, but that's the vibe you get. You kind of start watching it and you're like,
It was like a bunch of women who
ooh.
moved to LA because everybody told them they were
Yes.
really pretty and
So-
they could be in movies, but they can't act.
I don't know any other movies or TV shows they've been in. I even looked on IMDb and they're just a bunch of like gone nowhere TV shows or movies. And so it's got Snow White, it's got Red Riding Hood.
The Rumpelstiltskin guy did look familiar, but I've never seen.
He's Rico from Starship Troopers. He's doing
I
his
haven't
part.
seen that though. Has he done anything else?
He's been in random things here and there, but the big one that we know him from is Starship Troopers. He's Rumpelstiltskin, and they make actually 2 more of these movies. The second one doesn't really count
crazy.
because it's not with any of them in it. It's a ripoff of the Suicide Squad. And then the third one's called Time Wars. It was awful. I didn't finish that one. I'll be honest with you. Haven't finished that one. So
Right.
that's kind of what I've been reading or watching. Other than that,
I think I actually kind of cut off Micah. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Reading and watching. No. I just have been watching WandaVision and stuff. So no, I'm good.
We should point out we all have little kids, or so that kind of. We all watched Paw Patrol this week. We just don't want to talk about it.
no, we
I
all
watched
did.
Paw
It's the
Patrol
Paw
this week.
Patrol or Blaze and the Monster Machines, or the new one is Santiago of the Seas. That's
We
the
had a
new
lot of
one.
Paw Patrol on this week, and my kid likes watching like monster truck things, and I don't know, whatever.
love
His
it.
favorite superhero is Spider-Man, even though his name is Logan, because he hates me. Let's
That's
move on to
okay.
news.
My son's named after the Green Arrow, yet his favorite is Miles Morales, which I love. I love that he loves
Both
Into the
of our kids are
Spider-Verse,
into Spider-Man.
but our kids, your kid's Peter Parker, mine's Miles Morales. It's cool.
Yeah, they're Logan and Oliver. There you go. All right.
Speaking of other hard-hitting facts, we
No,
got some
Spider-Man's
news-
the ultimate kid hero.
It is. You're right. He is.
That is true.
That said, we have some news, so we're going to roll into our news segment. Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to start filming late spring in Los Angeles. That means I'm going to take a flight and I'm going to go down to Los Angeles and I'm going to get in the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi show. That's how I feel about that. Anakin Skywalker is
Good
going to
luck to you,
appear.
sir.
Who knows who else is going to appear? So we're getting the
You're our only
Obi-Wan.
hope.
That's filming. The WandaVision finale is March 9th with a it's March 5th. I think I put 9th. It's actually March 5th.
That's my anniversary, or our
And-
anniversary. We share one. My
They
husband and I.
think you guys share one? No way. You guys share an anniversary.
We
That's
share an
crazy.
anniversary.
That's
Who
crazy.
knew?
Oh my God. Who knew?
It's a big 10 years. It's a
So
big
do
deal.
you guys go on like a joint date? That's crazy.
We try to. Yeah.
I'm only at 6 years. Gosh.
We actually do a good job on our anniversary. We should actually be in Asheville snowboarding on that day. So
What?
I know, right?
Sweet.
I'm going to be in Idaho on mine because we don't have babysitters like you fortunate people.
Well, there's a lot going. Well, it's because I spread out my kids, so my oldest watches my younger ones.
I got them both out of the way so I can enjoy
I don't
my
know what
late
freedom
30s.
is.
I don't know. Anyways, I think we're getting 2 episodes of WandaVision that day, the lead up and then the finale.
Best anniversary ever.
We're kind of speeding through
Said
this
just me.
because we have Wolverine, so I apologize if we're just blowing through news, but we got some Thor set photos. I think Thor joined a 1980s hair metal band because he's looking pretty fucking sexy.
And he got on that Bowflex.
He did. He's slim. He's buff. He's in a leather cutoff jacket. My man.
I like it.
My man looking real good. He looked like a snack. I'm just saying.
No,
Chris
he does.
Hemsworth,
Good enough to lick.
looking pretty good, my man. What are your gym secrets? Because I am.
Oh, he sells them. He has a whole fitness app.
Oh, does he? Of course he does. Everybody does. Okay, I'm over here waiting for. I'm over here waiting for celebrities to sing Imagine, and my man's out here with a fitness app. What am I doing?
Yeah. Oh, his wife is like a superhero in and of her own.
Really? Huh.
Like she's out there kicking ass on the app and doing stuff, and yeah.
I had no idea. I don't
They're
follow
both pretty
celebrities like
badass.
that. So, anyways, Stranger Things, I believe, is filming season 4 finally. It feels
All
like
these kids are 25 now.
all the kids are definitely in their 20s and 30s at this point. It's not.
They have kids
They're out of
and
the 80s.
spouses.
We've moved into the 90s at this point. And Rhodey is actually showing up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I kind of wish that they left this one a surprise. But Don Cheadle spilled the beans. He's showing up.
Damn
and
it,
this
Don
leads into that Iron Man's death is going to play a big part in the Armor Wars.
What? Iron
mean,
Man died?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I'm
Iron Man
sorry. I
died?
think I've drank too much. I'll shut up now.
We kind of figured that, though, that Iron Man's death would play a big part because people steal the technology, and then finally Rhodey's going to take the spotlight and bring justice, and maybe his love for the army is going to show out, and he's going to side with the government. Again, he's still a shill for the government, which makes one of us because, yeah. Anyways, Batwoman and Flash.
I don't know if did you guys ever read like the old War Machine like solo series from the like 1996?
I was
No,
6
I've never
years
read
old. I was
anything War
picking
Machine.
my
Anyway,
nose.
it was really cool.
I didn't know comics existed in the 90s.
Comic books in the 90s? Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Anyway, I won't go on a tangent or anything, but it was pretty cool, and I think that's where they're pulling from when they get into Armor Wars, and I think everybody will really enjoy it. I enjoyed that comic book run. I think I've collected 10 issues, but it was pretty
Nice.
pretty good.
I think I'll give it a look-sees. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a look because I haven't read
Podcasts
it.
were invented for tangents.
They were.
Yes, we are going to give it a look-see. I like that.
We're gonna give it a
look-see.
little look-sees.
Well, I want a tangent on Wolverine tonight, so
We are. So
Oh, I
going
fucking
through,
love
we
him.
have Batwoman and is renewed for season 3, and Flash is renewed for season 8. And last but not least, for my bit of news, Palm Springs, one of my favorite movies of 2020, gets the nod for best film. It's got Andy.
I don't even know what that
Samberg.
is.
I told you we went over this when we did our episode on best movies of 2020.
Oh, we did do that.
Were you
Okay.
there,
Andy
or was I
Samberg
by
sounds
myself?
familiar.
Andy Samberg.
I don't know. I drink a lot of beer when we do this.
The
Okay.
mom
Yes, that does
from
sound familiar.
How I Met Your Mother, she's in it, and it's like a time loop, and it's a really good movie. Go watch it because apparently I talk to myself on this show, which is fine. It's
I
cool.
need to write these movies down.
No, it's totally cool. It's fine. So
I do.
that
I need to
said,
write these movies, TV shows, and comic books.
I'm
down.
gonna go
I
take
do.
a nap while you deliver your news. So go ahead, Donald Duck.
So, the Mighty Ducks are coming back. Quack, quack, quack. Disney Plus series starts on March 26th. The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. So Lauren Graham from Bad Santa she's playing Charlie's mom, and Emilio Estevez is back. But I just have one question: where the fuck is Joshua Jackson? Because he's the only reason I would want to watch that. But we'll see. Okay,
It's gonna
whatever.
suck.
Emilio.
It probably is gonna.
Too bad
suck.
Goldberg's like a meth head now. Otherwise, that would be great for him to come back.
Yeah.
When they showed Emilio Estevez in the preview, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like what?"
And I was like,
I guess his law career really went down the shitter. Okay,
All
so
I
the
have
boys.
to say is Guy Germain is the man. Guy Germain was the man, and he spoke like one time in every movie. But
Charlie
they couldn't
Conway
do the Flying
was
D
the
without
man,
him.
Okay, he went on to do Dawson's Creek. So
No, Guy Germain.
That's Joshua Jackson. Yeah, Dawson's Creek, and Joey ended up with him, and that's who she should have
Pacey.
ended up
Was-
with.
I didn't
Yes,
watch it.
Pacey.
What was his
Dawson
damn
was a
name?
dork.
Pacey. Oh God,
Pacey, yes.
I used to
I
watch. that
loved
damn show.
Pacey. I
had
watched that
problems.
show.
I could learn how to get
graduated-
girls from Dawson's Creek.
Oh my God, they didn't get any girls. It was like the Virgin show.
Oh,
Okay, so
That describes my child.
Hence my high school
My
life.
high school. I was gonna say my high school years. Oh, I did have a girlfriend through high school. Believe it or not.
all right, I'm gonna stop laughing.
You wouldn't know it.
So The Boys season 3 has begun filming, or they're quarantining. Either way, Kripke is in Canada and he is working on it, and I'm very excited. He even used the hashtag Supernatural Family. It's going to be amazing. So Wakanda series is in the works for Disney Plus. This is not a definite yet. I really don't like reporting news until it's like definite. So the news is they're talking about it. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is because so many other people have put it out there. So I don't want it to be like, oh, what the fuck? You all suck at your geek news. You can't even get this tidbit of information. But it is being talked about. And that is all that is happening so far. Thor Love and Thunder, like we talked before. Did we talk on this or on maybe Hops News tonight? Anyways, photos
It
have
all
been
blends
leaked,
together.
Thor is no longer fat. Also, Sif is supposed to be in this, and I don't know if we've mentioned that before, if we even knew that before, but I don't think we've seen her since she was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like 6 years ago.
That's correct.
So that'll be fun to see where the hell she's been.
She's alive. Surprise.
Yeah, well, because the Warriors 3 were all gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hela took them out hard.
Yeah, like instantly, not even like build
hella
up.
Easy. Hey.
hella easy, y'all. Okay. So Marvel's Behind the Mask is actually debuting on February 12th. This is a documentary on February 12th. And like the name, it's going behind the mask of creating a lot of the iconic comics that we love. There is a trailer for it on marvel.com, and it looks actually really good. Coming to America, there is a new trailer. And again, this also looks really good.
Your Highness.
There is a Wakanda reference. There is also a penis reference. Leslie Jones is in this. Tracy Morgan is in this.
I don't like
and
Leslie
so
Jones.
is Wesley Snipes. You don't like Tracy Morgan?
No, I don't like Leslie Jones. I don't find her funny.
Oh, I love Leslie Jones. I think she's hilarious on SNL.
Uh-oh.
So
all 6 people who listen to this are going to hate me now.
They're boycotting us. Don't listen to him.
We've been boycotted.
So Wesley Snipes is acting very much so Demolition Man-ish in this.
So he's cheating out of his taxes, you would say.
I don't. What was his name in Demolition Man? Oh my god, that's gonna drive me nuts. I should have looked that up.
Oh shit.
I know. I used to love that movie. We had our kids watch it not that long ago. The Three Seashells.
Stallone and Sandra Bullock going to Taco Bell, and Taco Bell was like gourmet food for some
yes,
reason.
Because they were the only restaurant that was still standing after the wars. Anyways,
that's probably truth.
I love Taco Bell. I'm not gonna lie. Every few years, I get really drunk and eat it. I haven't had it in about 3 years. I'm about to. Okay, well, now I'm just thinking about Taco Bell. Okay, so Coming to America is coming out March 5th, also on Prime. March 5th is going to be a big day. My husband's not going to want to watch any of these. After he goes to sleep, I'll watch them. So yeah, that's going to happen. I'm actually really excited about Coming to America too, and I need to rewatch the first one and make my kids watch it. So, Micah, you got any news for us?
Yes, the Punisher is coming back.
What?
I just recently read an article. They're saying they're going to bring John Bernthal back. He's going to be the Punisher. We don't know if his Netflix series is actually going to be canon or they're going to reintroduce him as the Punisher in a different way. But I do know that, the Russo brothers said in Captain America Winter Soldier, when that truck nailed the Hydra vehicle that was trying to take out Nick Fury, that was the Punisher.
What?
They said that. And now I will hold that. Like, yeah, they said that. This was years ago, obviously. Yeah. Well,
I remember that scene,
ago.
But why would the Punisher be trying to take out Nick Fury? Did he have anything to do with like his wife and kids?
He was trying to take out
Hydra. Not taking out Nick Fury.
Oh, he's trying to take out Hydra.
Yeah, like he had intel and knew about it, and he just randomly ran a FedEx truck into a Hydra.
What if we get to see?
Because if you rewatch that scene, you know how Fury's struggling to get the Suburban to do all the crazy shit the Shield Suburbans do, and then out of nowhere, like they're getting ready to ram him, and it gets taken out by a damn FedEx truck, and you just think, oh, this is traffic,
Well, I thought it was Stan Lee driving, looking for Tony Stank.
Maybe Stan Lee's with it.
Maybe.
Maybe Deadpool's in the back.
I hope so.
But yeah.
He's like, hey, anybody got a package for
Tony Stank? Punisher's coming back. I absolutely, I didn't make it very far on the actual series on Netflix, but in Daredevil season
Really?
2 is like that's my favorite. Like out of the Netflix shows, Daredevil season 2 is my absolute favorite.
I
And I loved
agree.
him in
Yeah.
that, especially when he took from the comics and he called him Red, and like just in the whole scene with him on the roof, and
Mhm.
he's like taunting him to kill that guy, and Daredevil's like threw him off the roof, and he's like, "Oh, you did?" He's like, "No, his heart's still beating." Walked off. Man, that shit was badass. But yeah.
No, I like
anyway.
or not Daredevil, the Punisher series as well, and I love the bad guy from wasn't he from House of Cards? Like the only one I didn't love was Iron Fist, except for when they made the down by the river joke.
You
But I thought
didn't
all the
like
Netflix jokes were
the
amazing.
Immortal Iron Fist? Oh,
No, because he has to tell everybody he's the Immortal Iron Fist.
Either.
oh.
And if you've been listening, you know that is my least favorite MCU character. It was an evil laugh.
Iron Fist is he's such a cool character, and they fucked him.
He's such a douche.
Honestly,
they did.
Not even a douche. He's like too just anyway. I don't even know, like childlike, but not in a good way. Let's move on to Wolverine. He's way better.
All right. Well,
but they did a great job throwing Iron Fist into Luke Cage season 2. I'll just leave that there. I thought that episode where he and Cage fought against those dudes, that was pretty cool. Remind me of Heroes for Hire comics. But anyway, I'll stop. I'll go forever.
Well, yeah. And they're fighting the Hand, which leads us to Wolverine, actually.
The Hand? Yeah, we're here. We're here because we are talking everyone's favorite Canadian superhero.
Deadpool's Canadian too, isn't he? Or just Ryan Reynolds is?
I don't know. Ryan Reynolds is beautiful. Don't get me started. Anyways, we're talking the man who was created because Marvel really wanted to appeal to their Canadian fan base. Wolverine, Logan.
Our main topic.
Whatever you want to call him. We're going to talk some Wolverine. This might be a little start to our X-Men series. We briefly talked with Micah before on one of our previous episodes about X-Men. You can go on for episodes because X-Men has so much to it. So we're going to focus on Wolverine right now. And I know he's Hoppy's favorite superhero. So I'm going to let you take it away. Give it to us.
I mean, yeah, my origin story. He's the reason I fell in love with all geek culture. And I'm not going to lie, it was Hugh Jackman. I jumped on that train and then I started reading all the comic books. So I'm going to go into a quick origin story. He came about because they had a lot of readers in Canada and they wanted to create a Canadian character. Wolverine was created by Len Wein. He was the writer and John Romita Sr. was the artist. He's based on the animal Wolverine, which is funny because Hugh Jackman did not know that was an actual animal. He thought it was a wolf. And he was actually, when he initially got cast, he was playing the role a little bit wolf-like. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to play it like a wolf. And they're like, you do know a Wolverine is a real animal. You need to go to a museum or a zoo and go learn something. His first appearance in the comic, because we're going to focus more on the comic, but of course we'll tie in the movie because you kind of have to. Everybody knows Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. His first appearance was in 1974 at the very end of The Incredible Hulk issue 180. And then 181 is where you really see him. It was an epic battle between the Hulk, Wolverine, and the Wendigo. No real spoilers, but there was no real winner. Hallmark even did a little ornament. I actually have an ornament of this, and you can actually read the comic book in the ornament. It's
you showed me adorable. That was pretty.
I got that shit too.
Cute.
What?
Nice.
How have I never seen this?
It was it probably came out like 10 years ago. I think my husband usually gets me a Christmas ornament for Hanukkah, ironically, and I think that was before we were married. So similar to the origin movie, Logan was a sick kid whose abilities showed up when watching someone murder his father. James Howlett is his real name, like in the movies. Logan came from the groundskeeper on an estate in Canada, and that's the name he took when he fled. Some people, with any kind of comics, there's some stuff that's accurate in one comic and not another and all that stuff. So some people say Logan was the last name of his real father, like in the movie when he killed the one guy and he's like, you killed my father. And he's like, no, I'm your father. Although the guy he killed in the movie looks very much so like Hugh Jackman. I always thought that was funny. Yeah. And he's like, no, that wasn't the guy that looked just like you in the future is not your dad.
He may be your dad, but he's not your daddy.
All right, Yondu. I'll marry Poppins and your daddy.
I'm Mary Poppins.
He does not have metal claws. He actually has bone claws. The adamantium is not natural. We all know his mutant power is healing, but he has a few others as well. Like Wolverine, he has a heightened sense of smell and the ability to track, and he can actually lift like anywhere from like 600 to 800 pounds. So, and he's only 5'3". He is not 6 foot something like Hugh Jackman.
He's very small, and I thought it was interesting that he was actually intended to be a Wolverine, like the animal Wolverine to start. They just didn't do that.
And then they're like, oh no, he got changed. And there was he missed a lot of bullets.
Yeah, they also hit the bone claws wasn't introduced till way later either, where they just needed to like come up, because for a while they didn't have an origin for him. They just kind of went along with it, and readers
thought people didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't think people cared, and so they kept just going along with it, and then eventually people were like, okay, but what's his origin story? And so that's
what was initially supposed to be part of his costume, almost like Peter Parker's web slingers. Which I actually saw a funny meme today. Here's a fun tangent. Remember in Civil War when they're like, is this stuff coming out of you, kid? And like, obviously the web stuff wasn't coming out of him, but in Tobey Maguire movies, the web stuff is coming out of him. So somebody made a joke like, oh, when Spider-Man 3 comes out, oh, Jesus. All right. Feeling lucky. Comment here. But they made a comment like in Spider-Man 3, it's going to be like, is this stuff coming out of you, kid? And Tobey Maguire will be like, what are you talking about? Right.
Well, Peter Parker actually evolved at some point in time in the comics. I can't remember who was writing him. I don't think it was when Dan Slott was, because Dan Slott was pretty badass with the web shooters. But at some point in time, he actually had organic webs. He had actually mutated.
Did he in the comics?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that's right around the time they were making that movie. So that's why he had them in the movie, which I hated. I hated that shit. Like, I love it when like the whole and we're not talking about Spider-Man, but the sciencey part and him building his own web shooters, because he just has the biological to the intellectual knowledge of doing it. But that was actually in the comics. So yeah.
Whack.
Wiggity whack. Okay.
Yeah. Wolverine.
I have one more.
Go.
I was just say one quick thing to tie up on my origin, and then I'll move it along. So a lot of people just watch the movies or dabble in the comics occasionally, and honestly, that's myself included. But sometimes you forget how intertwined all these Marvel characters are. I think we're going to see more of that in the near future with, Disney buying Fox and everything.
The entire universe has been blown wide open. Yeah.
Right, but we've been so limited in the past. I mean, you think X-Men is one area, and then you got the Avengers is in another area, but there's so many X-Men that are Avengers. So to do a quick list real quick to give you an idea of how actually connected these two things are, or all of these things are, I'm going to give you a list of some of the women that Wolverine has actually slept with in the comics.
Oh, Wolverine's out there getting that ass.
He gets all that ass.
You have no idea.
Wolverine out
this
there,
is just a little bit. This is not a
army men,
not a full list.
And booty.
It's not an exhaustive list. We have Invisible Woman, Fantastic Four, Captain Marvel, Mystique. They actually even had a kid together.
Hold on.
He's got a
Wolverine
bunch of kids.
Banged Invisible Woman from Fantastic
Oh yeah, like pre-World War II they banged.
Joe
and you
Reed
actually
is so mad.
Alternate reality.
Well, it's all over the place. So, and the people I named are all people that you should know from movies and stuff. So we have Mystique, we have Storm. I think a lot of people know that. Elektra, don't tell Daredevil. Black Cat, Domino, Jean Grey, Yukio, which Yukio is actually in the Wolverine, but she's the girl that comes and gets him in Canada and brings him to Japan. She's the friend. Obviously, he sleeps with Mariko as well. Mariko's a big deal. She's big in the comics. You have Viper, which is the girl that actually tried to kill him. She was the bad guy in the Wolverine. She was the nurse or the doctor or something. I think she was the doctor.
With the claws, right?
Rogue. She could do like the poison.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right.
And you have Rogue, which is like his pseudo daughter in the movies, even though that's not actually true in the comics.
Rogue too?
Yes, but in the comics, they don't have the relationship they had in the movies.
Because that's like Batman banging Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Hold up. Before we get any closer, while you're on the while you're on the Viper reference, the Viper character in the in that movie was taken from Madam Viper. So Madam Viper has no powers like that in the comics, but he was married to Madam Viper in the comics. for a short period of time. He had no idea he was until he got his memories back. But yeah,
Hate
I'll
when
talk
I get
about
married
that
to
later. But
somebody
yeah,
and don't know it.
Well, that's a big
Yeah.
thing in the comics.
But yeah.
Even today, his memory is all over the place. And like, not to jump ahead, but well, and you see that in the movies. He gets the adamantium bullet, and you know they do intertwine some of that.
No, we are
They just-
not talking about that god awful movie in the movies. We're gonna.
Oh, we are.
We're gonna forget
will.
that ever
Oh,
happened.
I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to throw it to hell.
We're gonna forget that shit ever happened.
Well, it didn't happen because Deadpool killed everybody.
Yes, exactly. I told you it didn't happen.
All right, so that's my quick intro to Wolverine origin comics.
Damn, Wolverine out here slaying.
Dude, who wouldn't want to sleep with him?
Oh, if it's Hugh
Five.
Jackman.
Sorry.
So Wolverine, like, so we first see him in Incredible Hulk 181, 182.
Yes.
He shows up 181 at the very end. And there's not a whole lot going on there, like Hoppy said earlier. Like, it's just, hey, I'm Wolverine. I got claws. You know, like I could
Like,
fight
who's
you,
this
Hulk. I could
little
Well,
fight
he
you.
was there to
Wendigo.
basically just fight
You know-
Hulk, right?
Well, he fought both of them, and
Yeah.
like honestly, was really no outcome. Everybody just kind of walked away. Like Wendigo was defeated, everybody just kind of walked off. But the great part about that is what Chris Claremont did with that going forward in Giant Size X-Men 1. So what he did was he was like, okay, I've got something to build off of. So what he did is he sent Xavier. There you go, right there. See him? He jumps out of the woods. I don't know
If you're
if
watching
you guys
on YouTube,
ever
I have
watched
it
Hulk.
open.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If people out there, if you haven't watched Hulk versus Wolverine, the animation, it is so badass, and it does that scene perfect. Like, there's no Wendigo, but it's really cool. Where he
The Wendigo's
jumps out
almost like
and
he's like
Hulk
a side character
just-
to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hulk in that animation, man, Hulk levels Wolverine, and Wolverine goes flying like, I don't know, like a state. I don't know. It's not that far, but he
Should
like
be
he
like the
lands.
boys, like Kansas, Tennessee, knocks into another state.
Just
Soldier
to talk
Boy.
about how strong the Hulk is in that animation. What I loved about it is he knocked Wolverine's shoulder out of place, and adamantium shoulder out of fucking place, man. He had
He's
to
the
pop it
Hulk.
back in. Man, that was pretty badass. But anyway, so
Whoosh.
what happened was, you know, in Giant Size X-Men 1 is Xavier comes to Department H. Now, Department H is the Canadian government that Wolverine works for. And this is after Weapon X, after all the stuff that's happened to him. He doesn't have his memories. He's just basically running around, you know, performing co-ops missions with Alpha Flight, which is a mutant group, which is huge in the Wolverine backstory. But that's a whole another ball of crap. But anyway, so Xavier shows up and he's like, yo, Wolverine, what's up, dude? Like, you fought the Hulk. Like, so the X-Men were swallowed up by Krakoa, and which is a mutant island, and Xavier needed to put together a team to save his old team, you know, because Xavier's got problems sometimes. But anyway, so he gets Logan. He's like, you know, like, you should come and help me out. And like Wolverine just like magically does it. Like, he's just like, you know, and I love Chris Claremont, because Chris Claremont is leaving things for other writers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, Wolverine's like, hell yeah, anything to get me out of fucking Department H, I'll go do this shit. And like, I'll help you out, like, Xavier, what's up, dude? So Xavier takes him, he goes back to the X-Men or whatever. They go fight Krakoa. Wolverine ends up being a badass on the group. You know, he's showing that he's a straight ass. He shows up smoking a cigar, like everybody's hanging out, you know, and he's just making wise cracks to Cyclops. I mean, it's awesome. It's just great, you know. And then, you know, like in like the third issue or whatever, he's just like Jean Grey's hanging out by like a tree or something, like thinking about leaving the X-Men, and like she turns around, Wolverine's just standing there. He's like, sup? She's like, hey, and he's like, whatever Wolverine wants, Wolverine gets.
Yeah, he
And
does.
she's like,
That
oh
sounds
God,
rapey.
Wolverine. Yeah, it really does. But yeah, that's where that whole, you know, thing started. But, you know, those were his first couple of appearances in the Marvel comics. Was, you know, you had him in Hulk and in the first couple episodes, issues in the X-Men. And then as it went forward, Claremont started to, you know, started to dig deep in, started to create his backstory just a tad. And they ended up meeting Alpha Flight. Wolverine developed a great relationship with his other X-Men, especially Nightcrawler, which Nightcrawler was, a man of faith, and Wolverine was like this badass, whatever. And they ended up becoming like great friends. And one of my favorite, bros in comic books is Wolverine and Nightcrawler. It's just great the way they wrote them. But yeah, so those were his first appearances, and he went through the X-Men, and then really like he just kind of like stayed the badass, like just the badass dude trying to get with Jean Grey when she did come back to the mansion, because she did leave the X-Men, and he until the Phoenix Saga, which is a whole another thing.
Right, that was
in that,
totally
but,
ruined in the movie. You can't take any of that from
They
the
tried
movies.
it so many times.
Oh God,
Mm-hmm.
the movie doesn't even
Kevin
touch
Feige
how
can do
badass
it.
the comic book is.
Yeah, the MCU will fix
Yeah.
it. They'll
Now-
make everything all better.
X-Men, the animated series, Phoenix and Dark Phoenix was amazing. That was so awesome. Oh my God, I love that. But yeah, after the animated, after the Phoenix Saga, that's when, right around that time, that's when Claremont and Frank Miller started Wolverine in 1982. They ran his first solo series, which saw him going to Japan, meeting back up with Mardico, because he met Mardico in the X-Men first. Because he and Rogue went to Japan, and well, actually that was later, my bad. But yeah, he had to do some things for Mardico and different things like that, and you started to see his Japanese origin. But there was just building up to him his first couple of appearances. You just got this total badass, and then you start to find out that he's like got roots in like martial arts and samurai, and like the mystery starts to build. And I think,
well, that's where we lead into his Japanese influences. Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know like how like the comic book or just the younger generation views him, because they've seen X-Men movies or whatever, and now if they've stayed with the comics, they can see a lot of it. I love that Hickman brought back the Murmasa blade in the Exoswords.
In the Exoswords.
Which I'll talk about the Murmasa blade later, but yeah, the Murmasa blade was just such a great point in his story. But yeah, his first couple appearances, just until Frank Miller and Chris Claremont took him, and later on Chris Claremont got him again in Volume 2. But there was a time when he was really needed in the X-Men comics, and Claremont, if people that are listening don't know this, Chris Claremont is the Stan Lee of X-Men. He created those characters. He took those characters and turned them into what you see today, the roots, what you get. What they did before Claremont took over was nothing. Like what he's got forward after Giant Size X-Men 1 forward, it is just, just what we have. So
yeah, anybody who's read the old school stuff, it's more like I've read the first, I think maybe 30 issues of the original X-Men and Avengers, and it's very sexist. It's very childlike. It's just, it's interesting. It's worth reading because you kind of get an idea of where everything started, and it's very interesting. But I mean, like, the maid's out one day and Jean Grey fixes dinner, and Xavier's like, "Thank you for fixing dinner." And Jean Grey's like, "Oh, it's my pleasure, Professor." And meanwhile, all the boys are like, you got Beast and Angel like fighting over dinner and acting like little boys. It's just absurd.
It was awful.
I have a stack of comics here that these were all my brother-in-law's. They're all Wolverine. My husband's never read a comic book in his life, but he has 2 older brothers that very much so did, and they let me raid their comic book collection, probably 15 years ago, and I literally just went in and took everything Wolverine. I mean, they still have prices on them. I mean, this one says $3. It's the Lazarus Project Wolverine. I mean, I got everything in here. And I mean, it's absolutely amazing. The Wolverine
I still
saga.
have your Wolverine comics that just came out that I haven't sent back.
Well, that's what I sent Matt. I think you have the first 2 or 3 of the X of
first
Swords.
3 of the X of
Wolverine
Swords
ones.
I haven't, because I'm just a piece of shit.
We'll talk about that though at the end, because that series jumps and then it's all over the place. But let's go more into.
Almost might be even a 2-part episode, just because there's so much to talk about.
Right. And we can, we'll keep talking. And if we go too long, that's we talked about that earlier. We may have to split it. I mean, hell, and this is condensing Wolverine too.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And oh my God. And Rob, I got to give hats off to Rob. He was one of our previous guest Comics Explained. He did a 20-minute video, but even he was like, we could probably do 5 or 6 videos just on Wolverine alone. Mm-hmm. And researching for Wolverine, because I'm not well versed in him as you guys are. Yeah, like holy shit, there's a lot to talk about here.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was supposed to be like a filler character. He wasn't supposed to be as amazing as he was. And like Micah was saying before, like people kind of demanded an origin story, and I haven't read the full origin story. I need to do that, and you know we've seen bits and pieces of it in the movies and in other comics, but I do want to sit back and read that whole thing. There's a lot of stuff of Wolverine I want to read the whole thing of, but back to Japan, the movie's totally, so we got The Wolverine, and a lot of people don't like that movie, and I always say I liked it because they touched on his Japanese influences, but they didn't give it at all what it deserved.
That movie's awful. It was so bad.
He almost like died in that movie on that scene on the bullet train. Anything he does as Wolverine, I'll watch, and I enjoy. I've enjoyed all of the movies.
Oh, I agree.
X3.
I don't say I enjoy them, but
I will enjoy them, and if you put them on now, I'll still get sucked in. Now, I will say, when the first time I watched Wolverine Origins, I knew nothing about Deadpool, and knowing Deadpool now, I don't know what in the fuck
my God,
they were thinking.
The one character whose mouth you should not stitch shut,
right? You stitch shut the mark
shut.
with the mouth, and
then they have like the swords. They try to and pretty much
it was terrible.
The only reason why he did that was because he was promised that he was going to get to do Deadpool properly.
Yes. And I think once he did, I don't think he regrets it now, especially because he got to murder.
I thought they were trying to like weasel their way out of it, and that's when he released like the 10-minute video of Deadpool in the costume sitting over the freeway, and so
it all worked out in the end.
It worked out in the end. However, the Deadpool we got was like Ryan Reynolds with his mouth shut, bald, and swords coming out of his arms like he's Baraka from Mortal Kombat. And
yet somehow he was still gorgeous. Okay. So in the movie, we did get to meet Mariko. She does end up being a badass, though, and they didn't make her really a badass at all in the movie. Logan didn't even speak the language or seem to understand the culture, whereas in the comics, he speaks Japanese great. He's very much so he's an admirer of he admires their culture. I don't know what the fuck word I'm trying to find. Okay. His son is even half Japanese, Daken. We could do a whole episode on just him. He was the child of Itsu and Wolverine. Winter Soldier actually murdered his baby mama, one of his baby mamas. But Daken's the one that you hear the most about. So he seems to be the most prominent. Over the years, a lot of different comics have shown. Oh, I literally just said that. Okay. He actually spent time in Japan a lot, even before World War II, whereas in the movie, we only see him as like a war prisoner during when the bombs were dropped and he saved the one dude.
Yep.
But no, he studied there, he lived there, and actually what he learned before World War II helped him escape a prison camp during the war. And we did mention a couple weeks ago, so Brad has decided he's apparently brewing all the beers, but this is why Brad said that he would brew a Japanese rice lager aged in Canadian whiskey barrels. So we'll get that beer in 2022
probably,
because you gotta age that shit.
They might be celebrating their 1 or 2 year anniversary at Common Law before we actually get that beer.
So yeah, that's the and then Did you want to add anything else to the Japanese influence, Micah?
Well, I think that when Wolverine's origin got fleshed out, we knew that there was Japanese influence there even before when he came in 1982 or before that in the X-Men, but when he came to Mariko and Silver Samurai and that whole situation. But he was trained by a guy named Ogun, who ended up being a villain. people who are listening and you're really into Wolverine and the Japanese stuff, you should really read Kitty Pryde and Wolverine.
Yeah.
It was really good stuff. And Ogun was his original trainer who has a telepathic ability to switch bodies, and ends up being his ultimate nemesis in that, where he has to fight him in a samurai battle. And one of my favorite parts of that, like they're in the box, narrating the fight. And he's like, his sword cuts deep, and my claws cut deeper. And man, it's just bloody. It's bloody, but it's pretty badass. But Logan has a huge tie to Japan. He's sought Japanese culture to help him deal with all the things that he did,
Yeah.
But he married a woman named Itsu. They had a son, Dakin, which Hoppy just talked about. Winter Soldier killed her.
Like while she was still pregnant, yet took the baby.
Creepy.
Well, Romulus is another character that
we've never even heard him in the movies, and he's like the main Wolvie villain.
Well, Sabretooth is, but yeah, he's there.
But Romulus seems like he's behind so much more.
Yeah, Romulus was a cool concept. Like Daniel Way brought him in, and he was a cool character, and I liked him. And there's nothing bad about him, but he never got to that place like Venom got with Spider-Man, or like Doctor Doom is with the Fantastic Four. Like Sabretooth is always going to be that guy. He's just is.
It just seemed like Romulus,
now he's kind of written like a good guy, but
there was a lot of times where it was like Wolverine thought he was fighting somebody, and then it ended up being his arch nemesis, Romulus. Like Romulus was always there behind the scenes almost. And like you just like, we got Sabretooth. Well, I mean, he was a blimp on the radar in the first 3 X-Men movies, but we got him in Origins. But like, has Romulus ever even been mentioned in any of the X-Men movies? I can't remember that he has.
No.
And it just seems
Romulus would be a lot to flesh out. And yeah, like the MCU maybe might do it. They might do Romulus, and they might do it a different way than the comics, because there's a lot going on with him. But honestly, I hope that they really like flesh Sabretooth out, because like if you listen to Comics Explain, Rob always talks about classic Sabretooth, and I love classic Sabretooth. Classic Sabretooth is a absolute nightmare. Like, this dude will gut you in 20 seconds. Like, he will take you out. He was a bit
underrated in the movies. He did kill Silver Fox, though.
Absolutely. And it was still toned down. Like, if Wolverine had been rated R, like, Sabretooth would have just went around gutting everybody, like, with no remorse. He's an animal. And it's like, if you like Daniel Way's Origins Part 2, which digs into when Wolverine first met Sabretooth and how that started out, it's pretty good. It's not super crazy good, but it's pretty good how that turned out. But
they were never actually brothers in the comics, right?
Goes, yeah. No, not at all. His brother's name is Dog Logan.
Right, and I remember
they brought Dog Logan. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember they called him Dog, or there was some reference to him being Sabretooth being Dog in the I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I didn't like that they pulled something so random.
They did that in the movie because it made sense, and I could kind of understand that. I don't knock that decision that they made when they made the Origins movie, making Sabretooth's brother. It made a story, but Dog Logan in the comics was Wolverine's half brother, son of the groundskeeper that obviously fathered Wolverine, who had a relationship with his mother, who was mentally unstable. Obviously, when Logan was born and the groundskeeper came in a drunken rage, to fight over his woman with Wolverine's stepfather, who took care of him, who he loved, he ended up shooting him. Wolverine got pissed off. Bone Claws came out. He attacked Jim Logan, killed him, turned around. His mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" So he slashed her because he was just in his berserker rage.
Oh, he didn't slash
which is
her
an amazing, cool thing. So no, he didn't kill her in the movie. but and then he ran off with his cousin. No, it wasn't his cousin. Was she his cousin? I can't remember. Rose was a redheaded girl. Obviously, he has a thing for redheads. That worked on the property, and he ran off with her at the very end of the origin story to West Virginia, where he worked in the coal mines and eventually lived with wolves.
Me home, country road.
I remember them saying like when the movie came out that Sabretooth was dog.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Because like I haven't read any of the origin stories,
he's not.
So I don't know.
No.
Well,
so if you read Wolverine and the X-Men, which came out after Schism, Dog comes back, and what happened was Dog like spent all this time training so he could kill Wolverine. Like he followed him throughout places where he was at and learned he had a healing factor, learned he was a mutant, learned he was formidable. Like, and he was like, dude, I can't take this guy out unless I get good, because he's a human. So what happened was comes across this dude, and I can't remember who the hell his name is. You know how the comics are, they randomly, some time traveler shows up and he's like, hey Dog, I'm a time traveler. I will give you this time travel device and you could travel all through time and become this badass warrior. All right. So Dog comes back and he takes Wolverine's students at the time, because Wolverine is a headmaster at this time in Wolverine and the X-Men, which is really good. If you haven't read it, it's hilarious. But anyway, it's like 4 or 5 issues of Wolverine trying to get his students back from Dog, and then he lets Dog ride off into the sunset at the end. But yeah, that's Dog Logan. He's a human that's traveled through time. He has all kinds of cool guns. That's about it.
That's about it.
About him. It's not Sabretooth.
Right. Does Sabretooth have healing powers in the comics?
Yes. Sabretooth has almost as good as a healing factor as Logan.
I was gonna say,
and he has adamantium.
I was gonna say there's a run where he also gets adamantium and becomes that on that tier with Wolverine, doesn't he?
Well, he gets adamantium through X2. What happens later on is, in Fatal Attractions, when basically what happens is Magneto, I can't remember where he's at or what he's doing, but he's launching an attack. Xavier sends the X-Men in. I think it was like Bishop and Gambit, Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Cyclops. And they showed up, maybe Beast, but anyway. And Wolverine just he just goes into one of his things where he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to kill Magneto. I'm tired of this shit. So he
can't kill Magneto.
He goes at Magneto and almost gets him, man. Like he comes in close and Magneto's just like, I am sick of your ass. And Magneto rips all the fucking adamantium out of him.
Right. And that almost killed him.
Yeah. And so he's laying on a gurney in a plane. And I know Bishop and Gambit are trying to pilot the Blackbird. And one of the, and on their way out, they got hit by something. So the Blackbird was damaged. And the hole broke loose and Jean Grey went flying out of the hole. Of course, they're going to do like this. So she uses her powers to keep her steady in the air, and she's trying to get back to the one opening of the ship. And Cyclops is freaking out. He's like laying in the back, like, gee. And then Logan gets up off the damn table, with no, his healing factor kicks in and gets up off the damn table and saves Jean Grey. And Cyclops looks like the douche or like the weak boy, and Wolverine looks like the badass, and he saves Jean Grey. But anyway,
sounds about right.
Loses the adamantium. He goes on a period of not having adamantium. We find out about the bone claws, which gives us some more into his origin, because Daniel Way's origin has not come out yet. And so he goes a period of issues where he's got bone claws. The cool thing about him not having the adamantium, and I really want people to know this, is adamantium weighs him down and slows his healing factor. His healing factor is constantly healing him from adamantium poisoning.
Yeah. Well, you see that in Logan.
And I really love that.
Just watch the movies, yeah.
And but the cool thing is his healing factor's back at 100%. So it's virtually impossible to harm him. So he's kind of like he is in the movies. His healing factor is insane in the movies. But you hit him, he heals. You hit him, he heals. So this guy Genesis, who is Cable's son, he's crazy as shit. He comes back from the future. He's, I'm not going to talk about Cable's backstory is absolute mindfuck, but he tries to rebond the adamantium, the Wolverine, fucks up, turns Wolverine into like this like feral beast with no nose. And he's like hanging out outside the mansion in the woods all the time, like scratching himself and like looking and
I do
hunting
remember
deer
the
and
no
stuff.
nose run for some odd reason. That's what they chose to go with.
No nose run.
And
yeah,
then,
he had no nose for a while.
No nose Wolverine.
I can't remember what character healed him back to his normal place, but he eventually gets picked up by Apocalypse. And Apocalypse takes him and Sabretooth, and it's in this comics run called the 12. And he
helps Apocalypse.
Yeah, he does. Apocalypse puts Wolverine and Sabretooth together in a grudge battle, and he's like, all right, so Wolverine, if you beat Sabretooth, I'll take the adamantium from Sabretooth and put it in you and make you my Horseman Death. And he's like, Sabretooth, if you beat Wolverine, I'll make you Horseman Death. And Sabretooth is like, fuck yeah, I want to kill everybody. Like, make me Horseman Death. Well, like, Wolverine knows if Sabretooth becomes Horseman Death, like, that's it. Like, he's just going to wreak havoc on all kinds of people. Like, he's just going to kill everybody. So he beats Sabretooth, like, beats his ass. Like, Wolverine is always held back.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. And, like, he didn't hold back this time. He beat Sabretooth. He took it. He got the adamantium back. But his healing factor didn't really so much allow him to be brainwashed so much to be Horseman Death. But he did fight the X-Men. It was a pretty good comic book. He took the X-Men out pretty bad.
He does that.
That's how he got his adamantium back. Oh, yeah. More than one time.
Well, I think we will have to save the rest for next episode, just because there's so much we could continue to go on about. And next episode, we're going to kind of chat about Weapon X and then dive even more into Wolverine. Like I said, this is kind of a series that we're going on about. And Micah, no, I don't know nearly enough about Wolverine. I'll be honest. That's why I've been kind of like just soaking it all in this episode. Whereas you guys took it and ran with it, and I'm excited to go on. So I really appreciate Micah, you showing up. Next episode, we're going into some more Wolverine, and we are going to dive into Weapon X some more.
X-Men.
More of the X-Men movies, and dive into more
favorite
X-Men
storylines.
and our favorite storylines, like Hoppy saying. So be sure to check us out. Every Monday night, a new episode drops. And Micah, promote yourself.
What's up, y'all? Micah, if you don't know me already. Tavern Geek, Facebook, Tavern Geek, Instagram, Tavern Geek, Twitter. I have an NBA podcast called Tavern Geek, Tavern Talk,
Hoop
NBA.
Dreams.
I will say this, that I'm working now towards a Dragon Ball podcast with a friend of mine. It's in the works. If there's Dragon Ball fans out there, if you've heard me run my mouth about Wolverine, you will probably die when you hear me run my mouth about Dragon Ball. So that's all I got to say.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with more Wolverine. In the meantime, get your stickers. Find us, love us. Let's chat. If we fucked up, let us know. And we will talk to you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
See you, bub.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.